All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at section 6.4. And I know I wrote Math Connection 6.3, but I will make change to that because it is, of course, supposed to be 6.4. Questions 2 to 3, 6 to 7, and 9 to 13. So there's only a couple of these in here. And I want you to just be aware as you do the problems that you are reading them very carefully. Proportional reasoning tends to be things that get people a little bit out of place. So anyway, think about that. Let's take a look at the problems I had. So 2 to 3, 6 to 7. So 2 to 3, a 10-inch pizza is $4, and 14-inch pizza, somebody sets it up this way, which is price per $4, 14 inches to 10 inches. Is that correct way to set it up? Is that kind of representing the value or the amount of pizza that you're getting? And again, these are circular pizzas, so you should kind of understand that. If you want a hint, a nudge, probably be thinking about how would you calculate how much pizza is in a circle that is a 10-inch diameter. Okay, so think about that. Question 3 is, if you know that A over B equals C over D, and that they're not unit fractions and they're not opposites of each other, then the following are true. So you have to prove, if you know this thing, if you know that A over B is equal to C over D, okay, then what do you think about these? You need to be able to prove these are also true, okay? And they've given a couple little hints along the side, but if I know A over B is equal to C over D, how do I know that the following is true? And, to start, for some of these, if you're unclear on even kind of what it's saying, like for instance, this one, you could say, what the heck? Start with a fraction up here that is equal. This is not your proof. This is you testing it to make sure you understand what's going on. So let's just say 2/3 is the same as 4 over 6. And we've seen that before. This problem down here is saying, okay, write the 2 on top and then add the top and the bottom to that. Okay, so that would be 5, 2 plus 3. That's supposed to be equal to the 4 on top, and then add the top and the bottom to get you 10. And you can kind of check it, and oh yeah, it does actually work. So it seems to be true as I do it. Your goal is to show why it's true in general, giving yourself another chance to do some of those proofs. Okay, 2 to 3, what else was it? 2 to 3, 6 to 7. Okay, so 6 to 7. Can A over B and A plus B over B ever form a proportion? Ooh, interesting. So if it asks you if they ever can, try to make them form a proportion. Put an equal sign between them and see what happens when you multiply. You might be able to say, hey, that is true as long as blank. Or you might have to say, ooh, I tried and it failed because of this. And number 7, in a condo complex, 2/3 of the men were married to 3/4 of the women. What is the ratio of people in opposite sex marriages to the total adult population of the condo complex? Interesting idea here. And so perhaps you want to use kind of like we did earlier with the boxes. But again, what we're talking about here is these are opposite sex marriages. So a man is married to a woman. That's the only marriages that we're allowing. Again, this is kind of a canned problem, but for this problem, got to say, okay, that's what we're talking about. So just remember that in order to form a marriage of opposite sexes, then you would need one man, one woman to form that type of marriage. Think about what that means related to these fractions. Which of these have to be similar? Okay, so there is 6 and 7. And then what was the last one? 9 through 13. So now we get to the questions from the students. Somebody's working with measurements. They write the following: 12 inches is to 1 foot. So they get 5 feet is to 60 inches. Okay. What's right about it and what's wrong about it? Because there might be some pieces that are wrong. There might be some pieces that are right. So again, talk to Dara or Dara. Not sure how she says it. And let's go down to Nora. Nora says she can use division to decide whether two ratios form a proportion. And she says, why don't I just divide 32 by 8? I divide 40 by 10. And hey, if those are equal, then I get a proportion. What do you think about that? Will that work? Will it work all the time? Should it work all the time? And let's see here. Next up, 5-foot tall tree. His shadow is 18 inches long. At the same time, a tree has a shadow that's 15 feet long. And Al wants to find the same height of the tree. So what he did, he set things up so that he would have feet to feet on one side and inches to inches on the other side. Okay. Your goal is to see, did Al set this up correctly? And does that make sense at the end of the day? Let's see here. Mandy read the arm of the Statue of Liberty is 42 feet long. I think that's pretty close. I'd like to know how long the Statue of Liberty's nose is. How would you advise her to proceed? And hint, try to get her to think about things and not just Google something, okay? If they don't tell you how big the nose is, maybe there's a way that you could help Mandy see how to figure out what a good estimate would be, maybe even based on Mandy. And last thing, mixing cups of paint for a project. It wants to mix 3 cups of red with 5 cups of green. Mike wants 4 cups of red with 6 cups of green. Arnie says both mixtures will look the same because Mike is just adding 1 cup of each color to George's mixture. So that's going to be the same. What do you think about that conclusion? Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be more red, more green? Which one's going to kind of be the dominant, if there is a difference? And again, some of these pieces do tie back into what we've done before. This one, I believe, ties nicely back into the Kool-Aid property from section 6.1. In any case, that is it for chapter 6. So I look forward to your questions. We've got, if you're watching this over the weekend, we've got another week coming up where we cover these materials. And then we've got our exam coming up the week after that. All right. If you have questions, please bring them back to class. Send me a message. I'll post a video or I'll jump in Zoom with you. Some people have found that to be helpful as well, because then you can go back and forth with your questions. And let me know if that's what you'd like. Off you go.